It's the special joint production of PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned, the Mega Picks podcast. And because I won week 2, I got the wheel for week 3, Christopher David Simms.
You won one category. You lost the other 2, but that's okay. Fine.
No, I
Go
didn't.
ahead.
Wait. Okay. No. We tied against the spread.
Maybe.
You
I
won.
haven't seen the spreads last week. I need to check with Pete.
Okay.
Pete miscounted last week.
Look.
I need to see it again this week.
Wait, Chris. We got a long way to go and a short time to get there. Just trust us. 9-7 each against the spread. You were ahead
you
by
relax.
one game,
It's a
straight
podcast.
up,
Relax. Don't get all edgy on me already. We've been in here for 30 seconds.
And I won the best bets, and I'm 5-0-1 on the best bets, which means I'm destined to be 0-3 this week. All right, we're going to go through all the games with the spreads. Wait, I thought the loser got the unflattering photo. Which one's the unflattering photo? Oh, he's still the overall winner. Well, then he's the overall leader. Big deal. All I see is 5-0-1
That's
best
impressive.
bets
Yes.
versus 3-2-1 best bets. And but for that damn Titans-Chiefs game that was supposed to sail over 54 but was a push, I'd be 6-0. All right.
Texans-Chiefs. Yes, you're right. That did not work out.
What did
in
I
favor.
say?
Yeah,
Did I say
Titans-Chiefs,
Texans,
but
Chiefs?
you're right. That
Titans,
screwed me,
Chiefs,
too. That's where my tie is.
They know
Yeah.
who we mean. All right, let's get to it. Thursday Night Football. Miami Dolphins, Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars 3-point favorites. Jaguars surprisingly stout so far this year offensively. Defensively, he probably needs a little work, but they beat the Colts, lost to the Titans. Now they have the Dolphins coming to town. Christopher, who do you like?
Well, I like the Jaguars in this. Now, I'm not sitting here going like this is going to be a best bet, and I feel confident about it. I do think we're going to see offenses go up and down the field. The Jaguars' defense has not been very good. Just like you mentioned, the Jaguars' offense, though, has shown explosive elements, both, the first 2 games. Miami, not sure where to think. Again, they had moments of being good against the Patriots, but then we had the Fitzmagic, tragic part of him where he throws interceptions and everything like that. Last week, not bad, but just the way the Jacksonville Jaguars defense has looked, I would think with Devontae Parker and the emergence of Gesicki last week, that they're going to be able to move the ball on Jacksonville, who's really struggled stopping anybody too. So I'm going to go with Jaguars just because, honestly, I trust Gardner Minshew more than Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I think they just got a little splash more playmakers on the field compared to the Dolphins right now, who are a little banged up too. So I'm going Jaguars 31-27, which means I have them covering the spread as well.
What I'm concerned about as it relates to the Dolphins is they played well against 2 great teams, the Patriots and the Bills. They didn't get embarrassed.
No.
They didn't get blown off the field.
Right.
So now they're facing a team at the other end of the spectrum, maybe. We don't know. With the Jaguars, we don't know. They beat the Colts, and the Colts humiliated the Vikings, and the Jaguars held their own with the Titans. We're still early in this figuring out where everything fits.
Definitely.
But as to Fitzmagic/Fitztragic and Gardner Minshew, I've got more faith in Minshew. And look, it's Tua time. The clock says Tua time. Put Tua in. Let's see what he can do. The hip is healed. You don't use the 5th overall pick in the draft on a quarterback that you're going to put on ice behind Ryan Fitzpatrick. All due respect. Let's get Tua in there. Let's see what he can do. Joe Burrow has looked good. Justin Herbert has looked good. This is a national audience, primetime game. I love Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I'm not interested in seeing him play anymore.
Yeah,
I want to see Tua. And maybe we'll see Tua at some point tonight. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a Dr. Needle incident with Ryan Fitzpatrick before the game. I shouldn't joke about that, but that's what gave us Justin Herbert. Maybe it'll give us Tua Tagovailoa. I like the Jaguars 27-20. I love James Robinson. I love what Gardner Minshew can do. He is, I don't want to say a poor man's Baker Mayfield, but I keep going back to that question from a couple of weeks ago. You flip-flop Minshew and Mayfield, are the Browns better off? I mean, Minshew does all the things that Mayfield can't consistently do. He can do them sometimes, but not consistently. Minshew does them consistently. I think the Jaguars win this one by 7, 27-20. Christopher, do you have anything else to add to that one before we move on to the 1 o'clock games on Sunday?
I'm quietly excited for the game tonight. I really am, even though I know these teams aren't going to be in the playoffs. I think it could be a fun watch.
So I ask you if you have anything more to say. You say no, and then you say something more about it. I think I have figured it out. Chicago and Atlanta, 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. The Bears 2-0. The Falcons 0-2. The Falcons favored by 3. Who do you like?
Well, this is an interesting matchup. The Bears have 2 wins against two not very good teams, as we know. The Falcons have looked like not good against two teams that we think are pretty good. Now, I mean, they had a chance, of course, against the Dallas Cowboys, but that game was like served up on a silver platter. Like, here you go. Dallas is going to give you the ball the first 4 times they got it. Just go down and blow us out. Oh, wait, that's right. You're the Falcons, and you can't blow us out, and you'll let us hang around and come back and beat you. The Falcons' defense stinks. It stinks. I don't know any other way to say it. No pass rush. Coverages are simple. They can't play man-to-man. They don't disrupt receivers, slot receivers coming off the line of scrimmage. They do nothing. And I just don't know, even though this Bears offense is not special, I've liked what I've seen for 2 weeks in a row from the Bears offense. It doesn't need to be special. It's like we talked about. It just needs to be middle of the road. I'm seeing more toughness in the run game. I'm seeing Trubisky play the position better, truer to form. And he's making a few plays with his legs. Everything there. He made a few big-time throws in the game last week, too. So I think the Bears, even though it's not the greatest offense, they're going to be able to move the ball on the Falcons. Now, the other side of the ball is where it's interesting. I mean, the Falcons are one of those teams, Mike, I start to look at and go like, hey, maybe they need to just play a shootout type of style of football and stop trying to think they're going to play balanced football, too. They got all this money and assets on the offensive side of the ball. Start letting it fly. Maybe. But I don't think that's happening this week, not against this Bears defense. And I don't really know how good this Falcons offense is. Week 1, cheap points late in the game, cheap yards late in the game. Last week, game short field when they needed to really move the ball and make the game happen and put it away. They couldn't do that. I'm going Bears, winning, upset, on the road, 23-21.
Wow. It's amazing that the 2-0 team would be regarded as the team that is in line for the upset. I think it's correction weekend. I think the Falcons feeling the heat after what happened last week. It's time to regather. It's time to regroup. It's time to refocus. And I think they can move the ball against the Bears defense. I think the Bears will score their points and they will get their yards. This feels like the week that the Bears get a little dose of reality. They're not a team that should be among the best in the NFL right now, and the Falcons shouldn't be 0-2. They played the Seahawks tougher than the final score indicated. They should have beaten the Cowboys easily. I like the Falcons in this one, 31-27, covering the spread, getting off the schneid, and dropping the Bears to 2-1. Next game on the docket, one of the best games of the weekend, 2-0 LA Rams taking on the 2-0 Buffalo Bills. The Rams were in Philly last week, went all the way home, come back to Buffalo. I don't know how I feel about that, Chris. How do you feel about this game?
Well, this game's going to be fun. I would rather go home. I know I've done both in my career, and I just would go, because what happens is you stay out for two weeks in a row, and the coach thinks, hey, this worked, until the next year when you do it and you lose, and then they go, oh, maybe it wasn't that great of an idea. Let's go back to the other way. So it's whatever. I was always preferential. I want to go home and sleep in my own bed. But either way, we got the battle of the mix, right? McDermott, McVay. To me, that's the battle of the day. It is. McVay has been overwhelming the defensive coordinators he's played so far to this point. Jim Schwartz last week for the Eagles was on the ground crying mercy. I saw him on the coach's film. He was like, please, stop. I don't know what to do anymore. He literally had to call the same defense the whole game because he was so outmatched by McVay. He went, whoa, I don't know what else to do. I'm going to play man-to-man and just, you got that guy, you got that, and that's it. That's not going to happen against McDermott. And they're so well coached. I have a hard time thinking the Rams offense is going to overwhelm McDermott and the Bills defense schematically. And I know they're going to make plays and do some things, but just to be overwhelmed, I would have a hard time believing that. And then we've seen the Josh Allen new offense. The Stephon Diggs, it's explosive, it's aggressive. Is he a little loose? Yes, we know. I do like the Rams defense. It's simple. It's sound. They got a few playmakers. But I just think ultimately up in Buffalo, I'm going to go with them. And I just think they're playing at a little bit higher of a level. A close game, I'm going to go Bills 24-20.
So you've got the Bills covering with the 4-point win.
I do.
And look, I'm a believer in staying on the East Coast instead of traveling back and forth. And you got Kyle Shanahan convinced me of that. Yes, you'd like to sleep in your own bed, but there is a mental and physical toll to being on a plane across the entire country, back and forth and back and forth. And after the game, that's what you have to look forward to after you've just come back from the West Coast when you've already ping-ponged twice. And I think it takes a toll. So that doesn't make me inclined to take the Rams. And also, I think back to what the Bills were able to do. They slowed down the Rams better than the Eagles did. I mean, the Cowboys, slowed down the Rams better than the Eagles did. I think the Bills are the better team right now.
Right.
And the Bills are at home. And I think the Buffalo Bills will emerge from this one victorious. It's another opportunity for Josh Allen to get everyone's attention that he is one of the ascending young talents in the NFL, even though he's being overlooked. 30-1 odds to win MVP. I like it 27-23. Bills over the Rams. And the Rams will keep it close, and the Rams could win it. This is not going to be a best bet for me.
No, me
by
neither.
no means.
No way.
Last week, the Rams were a best bet. I thought the Rams would go in and beat Philadelphia.
Yep.
It was a strong gut feeling, and I went with it. This
Yep.
week, no gut feeling. I just think the Bills are a little bit better, 27-23. We both have the Bills winning by 4. All right, next up, Washington goes to Cleveland. Cleveland gets a few extra days of rest after beating the Cincinnati Bengals. Washington got humbled by Arizona with Kyler Murray and company. Both teams 1-1. Cleveland, a surprising 7-point favorite in this game. Chris, who do you like?
Well, I like Cleveland. There's no question there. First off, I just don't like what I've seen from the Redskins offense through 2 games. And I know.
That's a fine.
Oh,
no.
damn. I didn't even realize. That's the first time it didn't even register in my brain. Yep, fine. Yep, I owe you $20. And then we should really start that. But the Washington football team, I have not liked the offense. I have not. And I'm not going to feel much better, even though the Cleveland defense hasn't been great either. I got to see something out of Washington that I can go, oh, all right, they're good at that. And Haskins has been all over the place. The only thing they really got going for them is Terry McLaurin, as we've talked about before. So I can't ride with that. And as special as that front four is for Washington and everything like that, the Browns have the formula with a great run offense and one of the 3 best running backs in the game in Nick Chubb to kind of negate that pass rush and not let them tee off. And the Browns, I think, will be able to play a balanced football game to where, I just don't expect that D-line to get 8 sacks or cause a strip sack fumble. That's, to me, the only way they can win the game. So I'm going to go Browns 24-16. I don't think it's going to be easy because that defense in Washington is good, but I think they clearly win the football game, and I got them covering the spread, as you say.
You've got the Browns covering, which surprises me. I think the 7 is too much, and I seriously considered picking Washington to win straight up. I'd like to think, though, that Kevin Stefanski has learned week 1 versus week 2. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Now, they came out and threw the ball early, I think, just to work out some kinks and maybe placate Odell Beckham Jr. before they switched to the run last week against the Bengals. I think this week it's going to be run right out of the gates. You don't want to get overwhelmed early by that front 4.
No.
You don't want to pass to set up the run. You want to run to set up the run against this team and take the sting out of that front 4. So I think that with the extra time to prepare and the self-reflection of himself in which Kevin Stefanski surely has engaged,
right,
it's going to be Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, 20-17, a grinded-out win over Washington, but not covering the 7-point spread. I think 7 points is way too much here. I like Cleveland by 3. And I really was tempted to pick Washington to win, but I think Stefanski will save the day for the home team, Cleveland Browns. All right, next up, the Tennessee Titans go on the road to Minnesota. The Vikings are one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. The Titans only favored by 2.5 points, which surprises me, Chris. Are you going to surprise me with your pick? Are you going to go with the Vikings? Are we going to be blowing the horn on Sunday afternoon?
Are you kidding me? What do you think? Do I have a huge blunt in my mouth? Do I look high right now? I mean, I'm not that high. Okay, yeah, but we got a few hours left before we start retalks. All right, and there is no way. I mean, of course, I'm going with the Tennessee Titans. 2.5 points. I don't know what happened. Maybe the people in Vegas have been with me cheeching and chonging it lately when they came up with this spread. This one just blinks to me. The Titans have moved the ball consistently in both games. The points don't match up in the first game against the Denver Broncos. Well, they missed some field goals and had some issues like that. And this Minnesota defense ain't the Denver Broncos defense. It's not as good. I mean, not even close. So I look at that and go, Tennessee, their ability to run the football, and when they throw the ball, they are looking for 15 and 20-yard throws at a time. And then when you flip it over to the other side, even though Tennessee's defense is a little concerning right now, I'm not in love with the way it looks. It's more talented on paper than I think it's giving off on the field. There's nothing I can latch on to with Minnesota. I mean, do I think the only way Minnesota has an offensive success is does Dalvin Cook in the run game go off? That's the only chance. And I just don't see that happening. It's good. It's basic pass offense plays with Minnesota, pretty good corners with the Titans. I think that lends to them shutting down the pass game, being able to put more people in the box to stop Dalvin Cook anyways. This will be up for thought for my best bet. I can tell you that, all right? Tennessee Titans, 30-20 on the road.
Yeah, I got 24-10 Tennessee Titans. And the first two games have gone perfectly for Coach Mike Vrabel because they won, and he's got enough ammunition where he can go kick their asses and say, you guys are leaving points on the field. You're leaving plays on the field. You're not nearly performing at the level that you should be, and this is the weekend to get the opportunity to do it. The Vikings just are flat. They're done. It's scholarship year. They're mailing it in. Go ahead and tank for Trevor. I foolishly believed in the Vikings week 1 and week 2. I can tell you right now, until the Vikings play dramatically better than what I've seen the first 2 weeks, I'm not picking them to win again. Even if they win this week, I'm not going to pick them now. They've got to win, and they've got to make me think, wow, something clicked for this team. And I don't think it's going to happen this week. 24-10, Titans win, 2.5 points. What the hell? I mean, 2.5. Even if the Vikings had fans there, I think 2.5 points would be too small of a margin for the Tennessee Titans. So, yeah, I have a feeling that's going to be one of my best bets as well. Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders go on the road to take on the New England Patriots. Last week, the Patriots lost a close one in Seattle. How salty will they be? Bill Belichick rolling out of bed to do press conferences, putting in extra time to get ready for John Gruden and company. Can the Raiders make it 2 in a row? And this would be one that would get everyone's attention. They are 6-point underdogs against the Patriots. Chris, who do you got?
Well, I'm going to go with the Patriots, but 6 points is a lot for me, and I'll explain why. I do worry about a little what we saw last week with the Raiders and what they did to the Saints. You know, Drew Brees only got to play a few plays in the third quarter because the Raiders had the ball the whole third quarter. They just kept ramming it down their throat. Josh Jacobs, 5-yard slant, Darren Waller. Josh Jacobs, 5-yard slant. They can control the clock. And if there's one thing I'm worried about with the Patriots, you've heard me say this on the show today, their front seven. It's a rare year that they don't have a ton of big people. They're usually a team that's got a few defensive tackles who are 330 and 340. None of that. And as you saw when Russell Wilson got in space last week, or even the running backs, they're slow up front. So that's where I feel like 6 is too much. But just to flip it around, the Raiders defense stinks. Las Vegas Raiders defense stinks. That's what concerns me about the Saints. But the one thing I know that doesn't stink is the Patriots offense. And now with that running game and, oh, crap, look at our guy, Cam, throw the ball. I don't think the Raiders will have any answers for that offense. Their only way to even win this game or keep it close is if their offense controls the clock. I'm still going New England, even though I think this is a hair scarier than Vegas is giving it credit for. I'm going to go 28-24 Patriots.
Or you're going with the needle thread.
The old
here.
needle
It's
thread.
a thin needle.
Right.
It's a 6-point spread.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you on the pick, but I'm going to disagree with you on the spread. This just, to me, feels like one of those games where some frustrations are going to be taken out on whoever the next opponent is.
Yeah.
The Patriots feel like they should have won that game in Seattle. They want to establish that they're better than that outcome would suggest. And here come the Raiders, and you may have some guys who are feeling pretty good about themselves after beating the Saints. And once they walk out into that stadium, even with no fans there, there's a mystique that's going to be hard for them to overcome. And it's the Patriots, and it's Cam Newton, or as John Gruden is calling him again, Slam Newton, because he is the Cam Newton of old. I just think it's going to be too much. I agree with you that the right approach is to slow down the game if you're the Raiders. I just don't know that John Gruden ultimately can do that,
yeah.
Right? It's not fun. It's not sexy. It's not exciting to hand the ball off over and over and over again. And I hope Darren Waller is able to play. He wouldn't have practiced on Wednesday if they had practice, so he's injured. We'll see what the injury report says later in the week. But I like the Patriots in this one. I think they win by the score of, what was my final score? I had it here somewhere, 30-20. The New England Patriots win the game. So they cover the spread. I like them at home. I like them to go to 2-1, and the Raiders to sink to 1-2. And if the Raiders do win this one, then I'll start taking them very, very seriously.
Right.
All right, next up on the docket, your San Francisco 49ers taking on your New York Giants. You'll be wearing the San Francisco 49ers jersey, not the old Phil Simms jersey for this one because of your loyalty to Kyle Shanahan. 4-point favorites, even though they have been decimated by injuries. Do they win and do they cover, Chris?
Yeah, I do think they do. I think it's, of course, yeah, it's scary. The mental aspect of going back to a field where you saw a bunch of your teammates and things like fall like flies last week with injuries. that is scary. There's no doubt. And I will say this, the Giants are outmanned here, even with the banged up 49er football team. But the one area I look at with the Giants and just go, hey, you got a chance here, or at least can make things interesting, they will throw the ball outside the numbers and be aggressive. And the 49ers will give you those chances. And now D Ford, banged up, no Nick Bosa. Daniel Jones might have a chance to move the ball in the pass game a little bit on this defense just to make it interesting. Now, I know it's Nick Mullins, but I think Nick Mullins in this offense, it won't miss much from Jimmy Garoppolo. It won't. Maybe some third down ability to really read the defense and make an awkward throw. That's where Garoppolo is special. But Mullins understands the offense. He's got a pretty good arm. He's a pretty good athlete. And then the Giants secondary just still, I can't sit there and love that. And then they got moved around in the run game by the Bears a little last week, which the one thing the Giants got going for them is size up front, which I was surprised about. So I'm going to go with the 49ers 23-17. I don't think it's easy, but they win nonetheless.
Yeah, and that spread of 4 points it's not quite best bets blaring, but it seems a little bit small. And I think this is one driven by perception because of all the 49ers injuries. I like the 49ers 24-13. I think that timing-based offense, the Kyle Shanahan attack with Nick Mullins, they'll be fine. I worry about the running game because you've got Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman both with knee injuries. It's going to be an extra workload on Jerick McKinnon. George Kittle, who practiced on a limited basis on Wednesday, if he's back, that gives them some juice. That gives them some spark. He's that guy that gets the ripcord on the lawnmower pulled. So I think 24-13 49ers. I don't feel as good about it as maybe I should, but I think that just the Giants, without Saquon Barkley, this is the test of the Patriot way. Can Joe Judge convince these Giants players to not just think, well, we're just done this year because we don't have Saquon Barkley? This is the first big test with Devontae Freeman in for Saquon Barkley. All right, next up, the Cincinnati Bengals with a little extra time going to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Eagles 5.5-point favorites, even though they have looked like crap so far this year. Who do you got, Chris?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with the Eagles, all right? But there's some concerning things. We know that. First off, the Bengals defense just not good enough. I don't know any other way to say it. To where even though the Eagles have their issues on the offensive side of the ball, I still think they're going to be clearly the Eagles offense, the better unit over the Bengals defense. And then when you flip it around the other way, the Eagles were out-schemed last week. They got McVayed, like we talked about a little earlier. They were flustered by the movement, the different looks, the different schemes, and it was like, which way did they go? Which way did they go? Well, they don't have to worry about that with the Bengals. That does not happen. And the other
Wait a minute. Where did Zach Taylor come from?
Yes, I know, but that offense he's not doing all that. They've running right now, from what I've seen in 2 weeks, they're running LSU, Joe Burrow, Joe Brady offense. That's what they're doing. Spread him out, let him make a decision. He makes a great intermediate throw, and every now and then he scrambles and does that. So that's where it's not the same that way. And that's where it almost plays right into the Eagles' hands. The Eagles, I've been underwhelmed by their front seven, or their front four, I should say. It's a little disappointing. My man Fletcher Cox, who I love, he has not been as dominant. Malik Jackson, my man, hasn't looked as good either. Javon Hargrave, who they paid all this money from, free agent, he's not popping. But their secondary has actually looked pretty good. And it's the first time in a while, at least a few years, where I go, the Eagles can lock some people down man to man. They can. So I think they're going to stop some of that short bull crap pass plays that the Bengals have and make life. The Eagles are never pretty. It's never going to just be smooth. But I think they win like an ugly 27-17 game.
This is where we're going to break for the first time this week, because I'm a big believer in Joe Burrow. And losing has driven him crazy, and they've had extra time to get ready for this one. And the Eagles, I don't know how you recover from the ass-kicking that you took last week in a one-week stretch. And I think Doug Peterson is starting to feel the heat. He had that weird exchange with the reporter yesterday when he was asked about layup throws, and there are no layup throws. Have you ever played in the NFL? I mean, anytime a coach starts playing the have you ever played in the NFL card at a press conference, it tells me he's feeling the heat. It tells me he's starting to crack under the pressure a little bit. And I think this Bengals team is going to come in with a quiet confidence, unleash Joe Mixon, let Joe Burrow do his thing. I've just got a feeling. This is a
right.
gut feeling game for me. This is a meatballs and
He's
spaghetti,
an
as you
Italian.
say.
He's got the meatballs and the spaghetti, and it feels so good today for the Cincinnati Bengals.
I just think the Bengals are going to go in and they're going to win 24-21. It's not going to be a best bet, but I like the Bengals on Sunday.
I hear
Houston at Pittsburgh, the last. That's what I'm doing. It hasn't served me well so far this year, though. Houston at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh a 4-point favorite against the winless Texans. Who do you like and why?
Well, Houston's desperate. Let's not forget that. That's a real factor here. And they're desperate with a team that's got a little talent on it, too. And that is a real factor here in this, third week of the football season. These teams that are 0-2, just the pressure in the building and everything about it, knowing if you go 0-3, it's probably night-night. See you later. There is something to that. But Houston, what is there really to latch on to at this point? I mean, how can you realistically just go in and go, I'm going to take Houston here? I don't know how you can do that. Pittsburgh's defense, yeah, it hasn't been like dominant yet, but it's still really good, and I think that's scary that it hasn't been dominant yet. That means they're just still kind of getting it going. Offensively, it's the same thing. It's like we see moments, we go, oh, Big Ben, oh, the passing game, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, all right, here we go. And then it's a little stale here and there too. They need to get the running game going, but Houston's defense stinks. Pass protection's an issue once again. Watson looks like he got bigger and a hair slower to me this year so far, and I don't think that's working out in his favor because he's not getting protected. He needs to run fast. I'm taking the Steelers, even though I think it'll be ugly. It might be last week where you look again, you go, man, the Steelers should have put them away already, but they didn't do it. I'm going to go Steelers 28-20 at home.
I've got the Steelers in this one 23-17. I agree with you. It will be ugly. It will be like the first two Steelers games. The defense will make a play when it needs to. It easily could be a needle threader with the Texans covering or maybe even the Texans winning. But I think that defense knows when to step up, and the offense is getting better, and I think the offense is going to feast relative to what it's done the first couple of weeks against the Houston Texans. All right, we need to take a break. When we return, the 4 p.m. Eastern games from Week 3 of the 2020 NFL season, including Tom Brady making what likely will be his last trip ever to his house of horrors in Denver. More PFT PM and Chris.
He's going to play till he's 55. You don't know that.
There's your weekday lineup on Peacock, the NBC Sports Channel, PFT Live, 7 a.m. Eastern. Then Dan Patrick Show, the Rich Eisen Show, Brother from Another, and ending the day with this show, PFT PM. And every Thursday, it's a joint collaboration, PFT PM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned, as we go through our picks for the games to come. 4 o'clock Eastern games, Chris, from this coming Sunday. We begin with a couple of former AFC East rivals pre-2002, Jets, Colts. Colts are a 11-point favorite, the biggest spread of the week. Who do you like and why?
Well, Colts.
Will they cover?
Yes, they will. The Jets are the worst team in football for my money. I mean, there's nobody worse than the Jets. I don't see it at any aspect of their football team, so they're in trouble. And the Colts should be 2-0. They really should. I'm a believer in what I've seen from the Colts. I know they lost that first game, but I'm what I saw to them do to the Vikings last week, the defense was more dominant. And the Colts offense, Jonathan Taylor, what they did in the run game, and we know they have an explosive element to their pass game. The only way they don't blow out the Jets is if we get Phillip Rivers crazy town crap. That's the only way. 30-17 Colts.
I've got the Colts 27-13. We both like the Colts to cover. Let's move on to the next game. Carolina Panthers taking on the Chargers. The Chargers' second game at their new stadium. They lost the first one, but it went to overtime, and they look pretty good. Justin Herbert gets the start. L.A. is a 6.5-point favorite. Who do you like and why?
Well, I like L.A. I do. I don't think this is going to be a blowout or anything like that. I'm a little surprised to see 6.5 points. First off, the Chargers are the type of team that they're not even trying to blow teams out. They want to play like 20-17, 20-16 football. That's what Anthony Lynn wants. That's why he wants Tyrod Taylor as his quarterback. I mean, He's having a hard time complimenting Justin Herbert right now. Have you noticed that? I mean, man, he was steadfast on Tyrod Taylor. He can't even
back up for a reason.
Yeah,
he's a backup for a reason.
He won't let it die, and I've been a little astounded with his lack of just going, man, Herbert looked amazing because everybody else thinks that except the guy that coaches them. Chargers defense though, still we know it's good. And I think Herbert's going to give them an explosive element to their offense that's going to be a good thing, let alone I know they're going to run and can try to call the clock. Carolina does have a good short passing game, and I think that's where they can maybe just make this game interesting and close to a degree. But no McCaffrey, that really hurts that aspect. I'm going to go Chargers 20-17 just because it's a rookie quarterback, first start, or second start, I should say. And I think Carolina's offensive formula can maybe just keep the ball moving and put a few points on the board. I don't know why I'm telling them they're going to keep it close, but I just feel like they'll keep it close.
First start that he knows about more than a minute before kickoff.
Right.
First start he can actually plan for. I've got the Chargers 24-13. I think the absence of McCaffrey is going to hurt this team. It's going to make it easier to focus on the passing game, easier to game plan against a Teddy Bridgewater, and I think it's easier for that Chargers defense, which is very, very good and held its own most of the day against the Chiefs. I think it's 24-13, so I don't see it the way you see it. I think 6.5 is too small to the point where I'm considering the Chargers as one of my best bets this week. Next up. Detroit Lions taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Last year, week 1, the Lions were up 17. They blew the lead. The game ended up in a tie. This year, the Cardinals, 5.5-point favorites. Who do you like and why?
Well, this is a close one. It really is. I mean, Arizona 5.5 to me is that's too high, just for the way I look at it. You know, the one thing I'll say is the Lions, what they have as far as, pass defense, Matt Patricia, his ability to game plan that way. Also, having a little experience with his time in Belichick and even having to play against Rodgers and company. And I know Rodgers has diced them up, but, keeping guys like that in the pocket, I think this kind of fits what this plays to Matt Patricia, added to the fact that you don't have to worry about a run game with the Cardinals. The Cardinals, I've liked what I've seen through 2 weeks, but I'm not blown away. I think they're one of the poorer 2-0 teams in the league at this point, as much as I love Kyler Murray and all that. And there's the desperation factor. I think it's real, really real for the Lions. They should be 1-1. They blew week 1. Last week, they got off to a good start and then really crapped down their leg. I almost said a bad word. And I'm not sold on the Cardinals' defense either. I'm going with the upset here. I think with the desperation, the Cardinals not being quite as good as I think everybody wants to think they are, no run game, defense questionable, and I think Kenny Golladay will be back. That'll be huge, and I'm kind of edging on that. I'm going to go Lions 31-28, and they get their first win of the year.
I just wonder whether or not Kenny Galladay's been holding in. He's missed the first 2 games of the season with a hamstring injury. One of the ones that you can, if you so choose, say, I'm not going to go out there and play on this until I get my contract, something that we thought he would get before the start of the season. But he did practice this week. They're hopeful he's going to play. I don't think it matters. Look, you're not busting my Kyler Murray bubble. I'm riding that bubble. I'm going to blow it until it pops. And we've got 31-21 on the board for me. I like the Cardinals to win this one. I like what Kyler Murray is going to be able to do. We know what mobile quarterbacks have done in bedeviling New England defenses when Matt Patricia was there. Once that play that's called breaks down, once your scheme falls apart, do you have the athletes to go chase around that mobile quarterback? I don't think the Lions do. And I think that's the difference maker here.
That's a good question.
And look, the Cardinals look good in Santa Clara week 1. They doubled up Washington 30-15. I have no reason to think that this is going to be a correction for the Cardinals. The Lions are teetering on the edge of falling apart. I think the Cardinals win this one by 10, 31-21. All right, next up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady going back to Denver for the 18th time in his career. He's 8-9 all-time playing in Denver. This time it's not Peyton Manning. It's not John Elway. Not that John Elway was ever there when Tom Brady was playing, but you get my point. It's Jeff Driscoll. So a better matchup from the standpoint of trying to win the game. Tampa Bay's favored by 6 on the road against the Broncos. Who do you like and why, Chris?
Well, what's crazy is Elway and Brady almost crossed over. It was close. That's how long Brady's been
1 year
playing.
gap.
1 year gap.
1 year
right?
gap.
99 is the only year that they were both not in the league there. So Broncos defense still good. There's no doubt. Even though there's no Von Miller and everything like that. I mean, Vic Fangio, corner play is pretty good. Safeties are very good. And he's creative with what he can do up front to kind of create pressure and all that. And Jeff Driscoll was impressive last week. He was. He made a number of plays. I mean, he made some mistakes, yes, but, just like you talked about with Herbert and everything like that, he's going to get a full week of preparation. That'll go a long way. And the Bucs are still a work in progress. They are. I mean, there they were last week, 21-0, and then all of a sudden it was 21-14, and Carolina had the ball, and you're going, Carolina's outplaying them right now. They got the momentum of the game, and Bridgewater threw an interception. I mean, his turnovers last week were bad. He gave them the short field with a fumble. They were driving down on Tampa's defense, and he had a wide open screen pass, and he threw it 5 feet over the guy's head. So what I'm saying is I don't think the Bucs are perfect yet. I think they win this game. 24-19 is when I'm going to go, but I think the Broncos will hang around there and make it interesting.
So you got the Broncos covering. I'm going to go the other way. I'm taking the Bucs, but I'm going 20-13. I've got a 7-point spread, so I think the Bucs will cover. This is just one of those gut feel type games. I feel like the Buccaneers are ascending. The Broncos have to be feeling lost after seeing Von Miller out and now Drew Lock and Cortland Sutton. It's a lot to overcome. And you know what? We haven't talked about this dynamic.
Yeah.
But now that the 5 coaches who got whacked for not wearing their masks are going to be forced to wear their masks, I think of all the 5, Vic Fangio is the most likely to be affected by it to the point where he's going to be pissed off and distracted and why do I have to do this? And, and he's already made some questionable coaching decisions so far this year. I could see him being discombobulated and out of sorts with his face covered for the entire game. Not that that's a clear factor, but I could see it at the worst possible time contributing to a bad decision because he's just pissed off he's got to wear this damn mask on his face. Unlike the others. I think Kyle will adapt to it. Fine, I got to do it. I'll do it.
I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I look at like Sean Payton, Kyle, and Pete Carroll as like they like talking and yelling and, Kyle and Sean Payton love 4-letter words and everything like that. I think there is going to be like legitimate frustration with all these guys. And you're right, with Fangio too. But it'll be kind of fun to watch that this weekend as a little sideshow to these games, watch these guys struggle with it.
All right, next game, the last of the 4 o'clock games, Dallas at Seattle. Seattle a 5-point favorite. Who do you like, Chris?
Well, I'm expecting explosion here, offensive explosion. I really am. I mean, both quarterbacks on fire. They got receivers at their disposal, and neither defense is something to write home about. Dallas has played solid defense, considering that their offense put them in some tough spots. They haven't given up big plays, things like that. But I'm not overly impressed with the talent on Dallas's defense. I can't lie. With Van Der Esch out and Sean Lee out there, it's only Jalen Smith. The linebackers have become, it's just okay. D-line, there's nothing special about that D-line right now. So that's where I'm like, Dallas is in trouble because Seattle can run the ball a little bit. So you're going to keep 2 safeties back and like try to stop DK Metcalf? I don't know. Okay, do that. But they're still going to complete passes and run the ball. Or are you going to like finally go, okay, we can't let them do this. We can't die a slow death. Are we going to blitz and take some chances? And then I think Russell's just going to gash them. Other way, I know Seattle's going to blitz and not going to be like bend, don't break, or, hey, we'll try to like make them execute and kick a field goal. They're not going to do that. That's not the way they're playing. They're coming. They're going to make a play or give up a play, and Russell be on the field. I'm going to go Seahawks win a shootout, 35-31. I just think they got a few more players, and the Seahawks got their mojo going right now. I don't see them losing this one.
Wasn't that the final score? Super Bowl 13, 35-31, Steelers over Cowboys.
I believe it was. Right. 100% it was, definitely.
And you've got the
You okay?
Excuse me, cough button. Yeah, I'm fine. You've got the over on that, too, because the over-under is 56. I'm going to go Seahawks. And if you've got 35-31, you got the Cowboys covering by 1. I've got the Seahawks covering by a few, 30-21. I just think that the Cowboys are going to run into an elite team this week. And even though the fans aren't there in Seattle, taking the show on the road to Seattle, after somehow winning a game last week they should have lost, I just think Seattle is going to systematically dismantle the Cowboys defensively. And offensively, the Cowboys aren't going to be able to do enough to match it. 30-21, I like the Seahawks in that game. So I like the under. And I'm even thinking about the under as a best bet. I just don't see 56 happening in this game.
I know.
But who knows?
I'm with you there. I don't feel comfortable that it might, like my 35-31 part of that discussion, I don't feel like that's a definite either. I could see, both of these defenses got pride in their, enough talent there. And maybe this offenses are so scary that they're going to be looking at. They're going to go, wait, we can't do what we've been doing. And here we got to change a few things up. I wouldn't be shocked.
2 games to go, huge primetime games plus our best bets. We'll do those next on the joint edition of PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned. We'll be right back. A couple of huge primetime games to cap Week 3 of the 2020 NFL season. Chris Simms, Mike Florio here for the joint PFTPM Chris Simms Unbuttoned podcast, where we do our picks straight up against the spread, and our best bets are coming after we get to these 2 huge primetime games. Green Bay, New Orleans. Saints, a 3-point favorite. I don't know how in the hell the Saints are a 3-point favorite after what we saw on Monday and after what we've seen from the Packers so far this season. Chris, who do you like and why?
Right, and there's no fans. So, I mean, I'm going with the Packers. I am. I can't pick the Saints right now with this. You know, and I mean, this is not about like where they might be 10 weeks from now or whatever, but right now where it stands, Saints offense, underwhelming. You know, Saints defense, underwhelming. Saints defense not covering that well. Nobody can cover other than Marshawn Lattimore. I just sit here with the Saints right now and go, man, you know, did they miss their prime a little? Cam Jordan, Malcolm Jenkins, Demario Davis, they don't pop on film. They were, you know, they did nothing in the game the other night. I just wonder if they've kind of hit that age in their career where, yeah, it's going downhill. They're into that double-digit portion of their career where it happens and it happens fast. So I worry about that. When you don't have a pass rush on that surface against Aaron Rodgers, the way he's playing right now, that's scary. I mean, they're executing the offense, let alone all the plays now. Like, okay, nobody's open, but there's no great pass rush, so he'll run around and throw lasers for touchdowns like we've seen him do the first 2 weeks when nobody was open. And they're running the ball well. And the Saints got run on last week by the Raiders. So that concerns me, and I do think the Packers are the type of defense where they might give up some plays here and there, but they're unconventional. And they will do some things to this Saints offense that they're not going to be prepared for. I'm going Packers, even though this will be a mad Saints team. Packers 27-24 on the road.
Yeah, and I look at this one as, like you said, where's the pass rush going to be? The sound isn't going to be there to disrupt the Packers offense. We saw what that meant in Week 1 when the Packers went to Minnesota and won easily, and Aaron Rodgers had one of the great games of his career.
Right.
I think a lot's going to happen like that in this one. And I you know, you're right about the Saints. Like, how many times can you do lather, rinse, repeat, and get so close to a Super Bowl and reset to 0-0 and just expect,
right?
Yeah, we're going to be great all over again. And maybe we took the cheese in that regard, and maybe we shouldn't have. So, based upon what we saw Week 2 from the Saints, and based upon the warning signs you saw Week 1 in the Buccaneers game, I like the Packers in this one. I like the Packers to win it 31-23. I feel strongly about it. I think it could get worse. You know, there are blowouts from time to time. If you try to pick a blowout, you're just asking for trouble.
Right.
Of any of the games this week that fall into that realm of it could go either way, this is one that I think could be a blowout. And I think the Packers could win this game convincingly. And this is a chance for Aaron Rodgers. After all the talk about Tom Brady and Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers can go to the place where Tom Brady struggled 2 weeks ago and play like he did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers and not the other two guys. So I like the Packers in this one, and I like the Packers to win big, and I think it could be worse than an 8-point spread. It could be the kind of thing, Chris, that gets the conversation going Monday as to whether or not the Saints are done.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't. I don't know what to think of the Saints right now. And, you know, we've talked about it. I think you bring up a lot of good points. They have been traditionally a little bit of a slow starter. But even in those years where they started slow, I could have sat there and watched games where I went, ooh, I really like that, though. Like, I know they lost, but that looked awesome. And, ooh, you know, their defense gave up a few plays, but holy crap, their defensive line was dominant even though they lost. I'm not seeing that right now, and that's a little bit what's scary. And the Packers got it clicking and are better than last year, at least through 2 weeks right now.
All right, Monday Night Football, Kansas City, Baltimore, Ravens, a 3.5-point favorite against the defending champions. Who do you got?
Well, this is awesome. And I was always a believer that the Ravens were at a disadvantage against the Kansas City Chiefs, that they were one of the teams in football that really matched up well with the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens, aggressive on defense, will play man-to-man in your face. That plays right into right into Mahomes and Andy Reid, right into their wheelhouse to go, okay, yeah, blitz, give us one-on-one. Hey, shoo, bomb, bomb, right? I mean, that's where they match up well. And then Steve Spagnuolo and this Chiefs defense, hey, they got some big dudes up front. I don't think they'll be overpowered. And he's smart and creative. He'll have things to take away some of those tricky runs and things they do. So I've always thought the Chiefs have the advantage in that matchup. I even, last year I picked the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl because I thought they'd beat the Ravens in the AFC Championship game for those reasons. I don't think that this year. I don't. Not the way right now the Chiefs are playing, who are not clicking on all cylinders. The Ravens are clicking on all cylinders. And where I think the Ravens have jumped the Chiefs in this matchup now is Lamar and his throwing. It's polished. It's good. The decision-making. It's great throws. He's got it all. And they got enough receivers there, too, that, okay, Spagnuolo, you want to stop the run game and do creative defenses. You can get burned by Lamar and his right arm right now. And I'm going to go the Chiefs, win by a touchdown. I mean, the Ravens, win by a touchdown. 34-27, Ravens win.
I've got the Ravens 27-24, which means I like the Chiefs to cover. I think this one is going to be close. The score of the game 2 years ago in overtime was 27-24 Chiefs. I just think that this Ravens team right now, a little edge, a little chip on the shoulder. The Chiefs, they get caught in neutral too often. You can't get caught in neutral against a team like the Ravens.
Right.
But I still think at the end of the day it will be close because of Patrick Mahomes. He will tighten it up late, and then the Ravens will have the chance to win the game, maybe even in overtime. Maybe we get to stay up a little bit later on Monday night. All right. Best bets time. Christopher, you're up first. What do you got?
Well, I mean, I'm going to go to the if it's broke, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And right now, I mean, the one that jumps out to me and the team that jumps, the Minnesota Vikings, I'm going with the Tennessee Titans. That's one of my best bets of the week. I mean, that just doesn't even make sense to me. I mean, Minnesota, the way they've been playing, I just don't see it. Only a 2.5-point favorite there. I think this is one the Titans win by 10, at least a touchdown, 10 or more maybe. But I went 30-20 Titans. I think that's one of my best bets of the week.
Yeah, and look, we have talked in the past about we can't double up on the best bets, but we've decided we can, so I'm taking the Titans as well. I don't know why they're only 2.5-point favorites. This one could get out of hand, and I like the Titans, so on to number 2. Who do you have?
Okay, number 2, I'm going to one of our disagreements, and I'm making it my best bet. I'm going with the Bears. I am. Falcons favored by 3. I just don't think it's a good matchup for the Falcons. I think this Bears defense, who has not played its best, is going to give them issues. They can't run the ball, Atlanta. That's going to be an issue if Chicago just knows you're going to throw. Pagano's, he's too smart. They got a pretty good pass rush, and I don't think it's reached its potential yet. And the Atlanta Falcon defense stinks. And because of that, I just think the Bears will be able to do just enough to win the football game. I'm going 23-21 Bears. I think if they lose, it's like they lose by a point or maybe just by a field goal, and it ends up being a push.
Okay, my first pick was an obvious one. My second pick is almost obvious. It's a clear gut feeling type thing based upon everything we've seen and discussed so far this year. Packers getting 3, not even getting 3 from the Saints. To me, that's a no-brainer. Packers win straight up, and it could get ugly. I like the Packers. That's my second one. What's your third one?
You got kahunas. You got kahunas. Why? Right.
You have converted me to the church of Aaron Rodgers.
I know. I guess I just don't have the guts to go against the Saints totally in a best bet factor. And that's what's scary is because, more times than not, when you start talking about your damn gut and things like that, it's unbelievable how on the money you are. If you could only get your brain out of the factor and just listen to your gut, you might be the greatest gambler on earth. All right, my last one, I'm going to another disagreement. I think it's 5.5 points for the Cardinals is too much. Desperate Lions team that was up by 18 points last year against this football team. And I know they blew it, and that's what they do, and maybe that happens again, and maybe I'm stupid for picking them. But with desperation, 0-2, Matt Patricia, you go to 0-3, people are already going, we need to fire him and move on to the next coach, and it's over, and blah, 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 all that stuff. I just think between that, and I don't think the Cardinals are quite as good as 2-0 says. I think Stafford will be able to make a few plays, even if Galladay is back. And I think just the one-dimensional part of the Cardinals' offense plays into the Lions. So I'm going to go with the Lions of the upset here, 31-28.
I seriously thought about the under in that game as a best bet because 55 just seems to be too high to me. Although you say 31-28, you're going over. I decided to go with the tried and true, New England at home. I don't care what the spread is, New England at home. And that image this week of Bill Belichick in the ratty old sweatshirt, that's the message that, they're pissed off that they lost to the Seahawks. They are dialed in. They are focused. It is no days off, no hours off, no minutes off. It's all work, and they're getting ready for the Raiders, and they want to reestablish themselves as one of the best teams in the conference, and I think they get it done, and they give the Raiders a defeat, and the Patriots move to 2-1, and then that'd be the first defeat of the year for the Raiders, so it makes it even more important for the Patriots. I think the Patriots win that one by more than 6 points. That's my third best bet, Chris.
Okay, I like it. We got some differences this week. It's good. I mean, people should be listening to your best bets. I know that. You're 5-0-1. I mean, you're going to make the money. I'm going to make you some money, too. And at the very least, you don't have to agree with our picks, but even when we're picking the games, we're on fire straight up. So there's something you're going to learn from this podcast or this show.
Yeah, we did well last week. You were 14-2 and I was 13-3 straight up or something like that, so it was a good week. All right, enjoy the games. We'll see you on Friday for PFT Live.
See ya.
Yo, what's up? Come on, man. Subscribe on YouTube to Chris Simms Unbuttoned podcast. I need you. Please hit the subscribe button, please.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.